And so notice what happens. A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings. That was another day on the calendar. He packed all of his belongings and moved to a distant land. And there he wasted his money in wild living. And so we see him in this Chronos moment, missing the Kairos moment of his life at this stage, but it's going to turn around as we know the story, and moved to a distant land. And there he wasted all of his money in wild living. About the time his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. And so there came an end to his financial supply, his financial security. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. So now he's suffering the consequences of a bad decision. All of us have had those moments in life, right? They come in different forms, different shapes, different situations, but we suffer the consequences of bad decisions. We all do at times, but now those moments can be used by God to get our attention. So let's take a look at what happens next. When he finally came to his senses. That's a very important word, because what now are the circumstances of his life? He's now in a place where his chronos, his time now, has turned into a situation where he has no more resources. He's out feeding pigs. He's wanting to eat the food the pigs are eating because he's so hungry himself. But in that moment, God was doing everything he could to get his attention, to bring him to a kairos decision in his life. And indeed, that's what happened. He came to his senses, and he said to himself, at home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father. Everyone say this phrase with me. I will, say it with me again. I will go home. Would you agree that was a pretty wise thing for this young man to do, right? I'm going home. I will go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. He was at a place in his life that his circumstances had humbled him to such a degree, and he had no confidence, in fact, in his own mind because of his own guilt of whether his father would even receive him back or not. But he was going to beg not to be a son. He was going to beg to be a servant. I don't know how many people that I've watched over the years, and we all struggle with it at times at some level, who God comes to our lives and he begins to put his finger on some things that he wants to deal with in our life. And instead of allowing that opportunity to be a life changer for us, we say, God, maybe not right now. I'm going to walk away from this. It's just not really what I want to do right now. But he is coming to all of us today. He's saying, there's something that I want to work in your life. Don't turn and walk away, because there's a sad journey when you walk away from the kairos moments that God wants to bring to your life.